Hi everyone, welcome back to Spiritual Growth Tarot. I'm Denise, and this reading is for Saturday, February 27th, 2021, and I'm using the Light Seers Tarot by Chris-Anne, and I'll use also the Spirit Animal Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. Okay, so let's get started. So as always, when I've shuffled the cards, my intention is to get a message for us to help us evolve, tell us what we need to know now, for this day, for our healing. And I'll try to go into the mundane, of course, as well. But my bigger prayer for us is to heal our souls. So what is it that we need to know? Okay, so we have the Ten of Cups reversed. The Page of Wands reversed, and the Five of Cups reversed. Okay, well, that's not too bad, but it's interesting. Actually, Five of Cups reversed is probably not too bad. Okay, so with the Page of Wands reversed being the theme for, just for the day, and it's the weekend, and no big deal, nothing to worry about, but it's just a less enthusiastical day, if that's a word, enthusiastical. Oh my God, enthusiastic. It's a day where we might not feel like talking a lot. We might not feel like putting ourselves out there. We may be a lot more reserved. And this, because it's coupled with the Ten of Cups reversed, this is like the, straight up, I call it the happy family card. Reversed, it can be some unhappiness or some lack of being in balance with your family members, or maybe your kids if you have little ones. And even teenagers and even adults. I mean, my goodness, of course, I've had many arguments with my adult sons. Thank goodness we all love each other anyway. But it could be, kids acting out. It could be teenagers being, like this could be a teenager because we're in that age range, possibly, where kids are quiet and they're not telling you what's wrong. They're not telling you what's going on, but there is something a little wrong here. This can be bad news. It can be a broken heart, like a bad, like something went wrong in a relationship, or maybe even somebody at school was cruel to them, and you're having to help repair that part of their soul that has been taking it to heart, and they need to understand that it's when people are cruel, it's never about them. It's about the person who's being cruel. It's their own self-hatred projecting outwards onto others. Because when the Ten of Cups comes through reverse, sometimes we're losing friends, and other times it's a betrayal, an outright betrayal in the family. And now when that happens too, kids do tend to get quiet and go inward. So this could be something that's happening, but it could also be on spiritual level, which I kind of relate everyday life to spiritual. I just do. It's the way it's how I interpret life. So, but on the deeper spiritual level here, we could have echoes of the past coming up, like when we were teenagers and our homes weren't happy, and we had a person who was cruel, whether they knew it or not, and cruelty can come through neglect as well. Oh goodness, chopsticks are great for scratching ankles sometimes. Okay, so that place where most people don't understand that neglect, like a parent not being home, a parent not being around, is a form of abuse, because kids need connection. They need to have we all have those real needs to have safety and comfort and connection with others. And then to the degree that we are seen and heard, putting ourselves out there and encouraged, that turns into, as adults, that turns into our creative self-expression. So, which is what the Page of Wands is all about, is putting yourself out there, saying what you need to say, doing what you want to do. So when it's reversed, we have to look at what's going on, right? Like what's the real issue here? And so, like I said, sometimes it's just, some bad news, but other times it can be that deep lack of encouragement on the spiritual level that is painful, and you don't understand why and how it has contributed to your lack of self-confidence all your life. And you're now feeling that and healing it. Seriously, I've had those experiences before where I was blessed to live in a spiritual community for about 5 years, and they held me by loving me through those places where I could feel my rebellious teenager coming up, and they they didn't stuff it down. They let me be with it and just be in my I don't wanna, and be grouchy or be whatever, or be crying. They held me through it, and it healed something within me, and it did help me heal my own childhood, where there wasn't anyone around, and then when there was someone around, they were either not present very often, or outright just a raging alcoholic. I had that for a mother. So if you have any echoes of that type of a scenario, or any other type of scenario, it could also be like sibling rivalry, where there was always a lot of fighting. Like, imagine having a very full house of, like, let's say 8 kids or something, or 5 kids, or 3 kids, or even just 2, but you didn't get along because one of them was always bullying you, or calling you names, or putting you down, or somehow making you feel like you were somehow less than. Well, that's a major, like, head trip on a kid. And then that has to be healed when we grow up. So we're always healing the echoes of the past. And as we do, we free up our vicious circles. We free up, all we really need to know is, all we really need to do, especially, is to understand and know what the real needs are, and then we can turn everything around. And again, the real needs are to be loved. Imagine a baby without love. Imagine a baby without comfort and safety. It would be brutal. So, again, the real needs are love, safety, comfort, connection, to be seen and heard, and eventually understood. And when that happens, then you can literally release this, the pains of the past. The Five of Cups is all about grieving and going in deeply into the feelings. It has everything to do with feeling unloved and being disappointed and feeling lonely. But when you go into the pain, that pain of feeling alone, then you find yourself eventually. After all the tears are shed and done, and you've done it, as many times as you need to, and I don't care how long it takes. For me, it was a couple of weeks every night in the late 90s. That I'll never forget. But it healed something. And when you do that, you get yourself back, because it's really just all the, the scar tissue of the painful past. Imagine these cards reversed again. It's just that scar tissue that's on top of your spirit that needs to be dissolved. And we dissolve it through tears. We dissolve it through grief work. If we won't grieve our pasts and our childhood, who will? Like, no one else on the planet can do that work for you. We have to do it ourselves. So, if you had a childhood where you felt unloved, If you felt really lonely, if you just had disappointment after disappointment, or it was an entirely just disappointing experience growing up in your home, boy, I know that one. Well, what happens is when you go into that grief work, then you turn it all around. You turn it all around, and now it's no longer something that you're having to re-experience. You're not having to recreate it in your life through relationships. You won't have to hook up with people who disappoint you. You won't wind up attracting people who aren't there for you or who make you feel unloved. What happens when the Five of Cups is reversed, we have a place where we have found some peace. We have healing. We have new hope coming in our life. And we're literally able to move on. Now, of course, forgiveness is in there at some point, and you'll find places where you need to be forgiven, where you need to forgive yourself and forgive them. And then that frees everything up. And the thing that helped me the most was to imagine what it was like for my parents growing up with their parents. And even though their parents may not have been so terrible, they did make it, they did live through terrible times, like during the Great Depression. And then that helped me understand and have compassion for them, for both my grandparents, great-grandparents, and, my parents. So when you forgive all parties involved, then it's not like you forget it. You don't forget it, but you can just let it go and forgive it and have mercy on yourself and everyone. So, okay, so let me leave. Let me figure out how to do this, see if I have room without having to stop and move the camera up. But let's use the animal spirit cards. I love the backs of these cards. Okay. What else? Oh, yeah. Let your spirit be your guide. That's always the case, isn't it? And to be peace. Yes, that's absolutely right. So let's go back this way just for a moment to understand this more fully. So if I guess maybe we could do this, because those wings are awfully big. Yeah, imagine a hawk won't mind us touching his tail there. So anyway, if this is a day, and again, I love the beauty of the way these things show up on the weekends when we have the downtime, hopefully. If this is a day when you're not feeling like being out there, not speaking, and you need to be quiet, of course, do it and allow Spirit to be your guide. Allow your higher self to guide you. Allow your higher self to give you any and all information you need in order to heal the past, in order to heal this painful family dynamic from the past, because we've all had some family life that has been less than happy. I'm always a little what's the word? Hesitant to feel into the truth when somebody tells me, "Oh, I had a great childhood." Well, maybe nowadays kids can say that and teenagers can say that, but when we were growing up, if you're anywhere near my age, I'm pushing 67. No. If you grew up in the 50s and 60s, even 70s, no. And I was a young mother myself, and I know I was a very, very imperfect parent. So, we have to, we don't want to blame our parents, because I believe that we do choose our family, or especially our soul family, just to get the lessons that we need in order to see where we were out of power with ourselves, because your family at some point can help you stand up for yourself, via the wrong way of treating you. And once you do, you've healed something. Your family can help you say no via pushing you, in the wrong direction. And then it turns into a beautiful thing. So you can get You can get like, lower self-guidance. Your higher self will help you through it and help you observe it. So the deal with Hawk is to see the big picture. Go into your observer self that can see your child self and that can see your conscious, adult self right now. And observe the relationship between the two. Maybe even sit with a journal and dialogue, or a pad of paper, anything on your lap. Close your eyes and tune into your childhood when you were little. Tune into what it felt like being in your house. What did it feel like at different times, like when you were alone with your siblings, or what did it feel like with one parent versus the other, and when you were all together? All of these dynamics can be filtered through and observed through the lens of what you went through as a little one, and to give space for that. And then, and only then, after we have healed the pains of the past, can we truly be in peace. You can't overlay peace on top of this. You can't. You can try, but that's called spiritual bypassing, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. What it does is it just shoves it down, and then it rears its head, in a different way, like maybe in a work or another relationship, and it turns into self-sabotage and turns into repeating the pain again. So whenever we have a painful relationship in our adult experience, we need to look to our childhood experience to see where the commonality is. Where does it feel familiar? Like one of my clients says, yeah, it felt really familiar, but in a weird way. Yeah, he is totally right. I mean, that's the thing, is it feels very familiar. You can feel yourself being almost in two realms at the same time, and your adult self is going like, hey, wait a minute. But then this other part of you is feeling something that's very, very, very real, and it needs to be honored. Because to go through your real experiences of the past is, that's just what the work is. That's how you heal your soul. You don't heal it by, stuffing it down. You don't heal it by just meditating on peace all the time. You heal it by going through it. That's the only way you can heal it. Oh, there's so many songs written like that, right? Like you have to go through it. So, okay, well, that's all I have. Thanks, you guys, for listening. I send you lots of love and hugs, and you're always with me in my prayers for your healing and for your happiness. Okay, take good care. Bye.